Have you ever been ignored by someone you care about? It stings deep in places you didn't even realize were still tender. It's a quiet kind of hurt, no harsh words, no loud fights, just silence. Yet that silence can scream so loudly that it echoes in the deepest chambers of your soul. It makes you question everything: your worth, your place, your value. You wonder, am I really enough? But listen carefully, because here's something important. When someone starts ignoring you, it's not always a curse. Sometimes, it's a sign that they were never truly meant to walk the entire journey with you. Think about it. When people leave you with silence, it's not just their absence, it's a revelation. God often uses absence to uncover what presence was hiding. We get so caught up in the comfort of someone just being there that we fail to see the truth. Not everyone who walks beside you is really walking for you. And when they fall silent, it's not your cue to fall apart, it's your moment to open your eyes wide. Imagine this. There are people who can sit at your table, eat from your hand, and still never pray for your breakthrough. There are people who laugh with you on the outside but secretly celebrate your failures behind your back. There are those who keep you close, not out of love, but because they fear what you might become if you break free from their chains. Sometimes, the only way God can set you free is by letting those people ignore you. It's hard to walk away from someone whose voice still sounds sweet, whose words still feel familiar. But when the silence finally settles in, that's when you're forced to face the truth, without the noise, without the distractions. God doesn't always use thunder to get your attention. Sometimes he uses the stillness. The quiet moments when the person stops replying, stops showing up, stops checking in. That silence? It's not just emptiness. It's God waving a red flag, telling you something crucial. It's not because you were too much. And it's definitely not because you weren't good enough. It's simply that your spirit outgrew their comfort zone. And instead of facing that growth, they chose to retreat into silence. We often beg for clarity when we already have it. We want closure. But sometimes silence is the closure we need. We crave explanations or a proper goodbye. But not every ending comes with polite words. Some people won't tell you why they stopped calling. They won't explain why they faded away. But you don't need their reasons because you already have a sermon from God. Their absence is your answer. So often, we cling to relationships because of history, not because of health. We say, but we've known each other for years. As if years alone can guarantee loyalty. But time doesn't always reveal the truth, tests do. And when life tests you, when you lose, when you hurt, when you grow, people's true hearts come out. Those who were only seasonal in your life will start to ignore you when your season no longer benefits them. And yes, that hurts deeply, but it also heals. Because now you see clearly. You see who was really riding alongside you, and who was riding on you. You see who cheered your success and who secretly hoped you'd fail. You see who loves you for who you truly are, not for what you can give them. With that knowledge, you're free to walk lighter, free to stop shrinking yourself just to keep someone from walking away. Free to stop rehearsing conversations with people who never really understood you anyway. Here's something that will bring you peace. People who are truly meant to walk your road won't ignore you. They won't play games with your heart or leave you guessing where you stand. They won't make you feel invisible when you were born to shine. When someone is meant to be part of your journey, they show up, consistently. Even if they don't have the perfect words, they stand beside you, because love doesn't hide behind silence. Loyalty doesn't disguise itself in distance. And covenant doesn't crumble just because no one's applauding. So if someone is ignoring you right now, don't chase them, don't beg, don't shrink, don't start changing who you were just to get their attention back. You are not an interruption in someone's life. You are a divine assignment. And if they can't see that, let them go, let them walk away, let them ignore you. Their silence doesn't change your calling. Their absence doesn't cancel your purpose. You are still chosen, still appointed, still loved, and still destined for greatness. When someone pulls away, when they ignore you, when they go silent, it's easy to let worry take over. Your heart races, your mind spirals, you replay conversations, searching desperately for what you did wrong, what you could have said differently, how you could have made them stay. But here's the truth. That silence might not be punishment. It might be providence. Sometimes, When people fall silent, it's not so you can hear them, it's so you can finally hear God. We don't realize how much noise we carry, not just from the world around us, but in our own hearts. The voices of others can drown out the one voice that matters most. We spend hours checking our phones, waiting for a reply, hoping for a message, scrolling endlessly, chasing a voice that already left, continuing from the last truth we uncovered about silence and its deeper meaning. Let's dive into what happens when we finally tune into the stillness. You see, when the noise fades away, the endless chatter, the chaos of opinions, the back and forth of human emotions, that's when heaven starts to speak. It's in the quiet moments, not in the drama, that God's voice becomes clear. He waits patiently until all distractions disappear because he knows something we often forget. We can't truly listen until we're still enough to hear. That person who's ignoring you right now, their silence may feel like rejection. But what if it's actually divine redirection? Could their quietness be less of a wound and more of a window? A window opening your spirit to something far deeper. A sacred moment where God gently says, "Now that you've stopped chasing them, let me reveal who you truly are." God is never the author of confusion, but sometimes he allows silence to fall so he can bring clarity. When surrounded by constant noise and distractions, it's nearly impossible to hear that still small voice that brings peace to your soul. But when the phone stops ringing, when the attention dries up, that's when you begin to lean in. That's when your prayers become real again, and your ears tune into the one frequency that can calm the storm inside you. Many fear silence because it forces us to face what we've been avoiding. But friend, don't fear the silence, embrace it. Let it teach you, heal you, and reset your heart. Often, the absence of others is the presence of God. The silence of people is often the invitation of heaven. You might not hear their words anymore, but you can still hold on to his wisdom. You might miss their approval, but you still have his unwavering affirmation. You might not understand why they stopped talking, but you can trust the one who never stops speaking over you. He speaks peace when the world offers panic. He speaks truth when others leave you in silence. His voice never fails. Sometimes, in the middle of being ignored, you start to hear things you missed before, the quiet nudges to release unhealthy attachments. The whispers reminding you that you are so much more than how they treated you. The rising strength of your own voice, the voice you gave away trying to hold someone else close. Silence exposes where your trust truly lies. Was it built on people? Or on God? Were you leaning on their approval? Or standing firm on his promises? When people are talking, it's easy to get swept up in their words. But when they stop, you start to remember the word that never fails. You open the Bible again. You pray not from habit but from desperation. You stop performing and start truly listening. You may feel alone, but you're not. God isn't distant just because people are. He isn't silent just because others are. He draws near to the brokenhearted and especially close in the quiet. Don't fill the silence with worry, fill it with worship. Don't rush to break the quiet, learn to rest in it. Because that stillness is where he meets you. This moment of being ignored could be the most sacred moment of your life. In the hush of heartbreak, you finally hear your healing. In the absence of their voice, you recognize the powerful presence of his. What you hear from God in that silence will be stronger, deeper, and more sustaining than anything they could have ever said. When someone ignores you, it can feel like your whole world shrinks. Doubt creeps in. You start to wonder, did I ever matter? What did I do wrong? Here's the truth you need to hear. When someone chooses to ignore you, it doesn't define your worth. It reveals theirs. Too often, we let other people's actions become the measure of our value. We let their silence judge who we are. But the way others treat us says more about their own hearts than about our worth. When someone looks right past you, acts like you don't exist, that's not a verdict on your significance. It's a spotlight on their character. Think about it. Someone who truly sees your worth will never make you feel invisible. They might be busy or distracted, but their heart stays connected to yours, even in silence. When they ignore you, what you're really seeing is their inability to value what they cannot appreciate. Their silence mirrors their own fears, limitations, and selfishness. Some people are simply too small to hold the greatness you carry. They're trapped in their own insecurities and struggles. Their ignoring you is less about you and more about their own brokenness. It's easy to get caught up in that pain. But don't mistake their silence for your failure. It's not about you, it's about them. There's a big difference between being invisible and being ignored. Invisible means you don't exist to someone. They've never really known or understood you. Ignored means they see you, but choose to turn away. That choice is theirs, rooted in their fears, priorities, or unwillingness to engage, and it's not your job to fix it. When someone ignores you, don't rush to fix it by changing yourself. Don't dim your light or silence your voice just to make them comfortable. Your worth isn't in their hands. It's found in the one who created you, who calls you by name, who knows your heart better than anyone else ever will. You were made to shine, not to hide, just because someone refused to look. Let me remind you, God's love for you is never conditional on how many people notice you, or how often they speak to you. He doesn't keep score of their attention or their silence. How many times have you been ignored or overlooked? It's painful, isn't it? Yet, no matter how many times it happens, His eyes remain fixed on you. Even when others turn away, His love stays constant, even when human affection fades. When someone ignores you, it's a sharp reminder that earthly love has limits. But divine love is endless. You were never made to live for the approval of every person you meet. Some will walk away, some will ignore, and some may leave you feeling small, but the value God places on you is immeasurable. When you anchor your worth in Him, the world's rejection loses its power to define you. And here's something you need to hear. Ignoring someone often acts as a shield. It's how people protect themselves from their own struggles. Sometimes, ignoring you is easier than facing confrontation, vulnerability, or responsibility. It's simpler for them to pretend you don't exist than to work on connection or reconciliation. You might feel hurt by their silence, but remember, that silence often reveals more about their fears and limitations than your flaws. You don't have to carry the weight of their inability to communicate or care. Your heart is far too precious to be burdened by their indifference. So, when someone ignores you, don't ask, "What's wrong with me?" Instead, ask, "What's wrong with their heart?" Trust that God's hand remains on you, even when human hands pull away. Your worth isn't measured by their attention. It's determined by the Creator who made you wonderfully and fearfully. In those moments when you feel overlooked, hold this close. You are deeply loved by the one who sees every struggle, every dream, every scar. You matter immensely to Him, because He values you beyond measure. You must learn to value yourself the same way. Don't let someone else's silence become your silence. Don't allow their ignoring to diminish your light. Stand tall, knowing your worth is never hidden from God, and that His purpose for your life is far too great to be derailed by human neglect. When someone ignores you, yes, it hurts, but it doesn't define you. It simply reveals whose opinion truly matters. Sometimes, being ignored feels like a door slamming shut without warning, catching you off guard. You search for answers, asking, "Why did they pull away? What happened between us?" But often, that silence tells a story words never could. It exposes a truth hidden beneath the surface, the difference between being attached and being truly aligned. There are many kinds of connections in this world. Some people enter your life out of convenience. They're attached to what you can give them, your time, your resources, your attention. They're there because it suits them at the moment, because you fill a need or space in their life. But when that need fades or the season changes, so does their presence. Their attachment was conditional, tied to benefit, not belief. Alignment, however, runs far deeper. Alignment means walking the same path with purpose and conviction. It means hearts connected by more than circumstance, bonded by shared values and vision. When you are aligned with someone, their support doesn't waver with the winds of change. Their presence remains steady, unwavering, rooted in commitment, not convenience. So, when someone suddenly withdraws or ignores you, it reveals where they really stood all along. It shows whether their connection was mere attachment or true alignment. If they disappear when things get tough, when you grow beyond what they expected, or when you no longer serve their needs, it means they were never truly aligned with your journey. They were only attached to what you represented at the time. That realization stings. Some people weren't walking beside you, they were just riding your journey. They were passengers, not partners, and the moment the ride got bumpy or stopped being profitable, they stepped off. Their silence, their withdrawal, is a mirror reflecting their own limitations and lack of loyalty. But here's the beautiful part. When those who were only attached leave, they clear the way for those who are truly aligned to step in. It creates space for relationships built on mutual respect, shared vision, and genuine love. It frees you from the weight of false expectations and invites you to walk with those whose footsteps match your own. This separation is not punishment, it's provision. It's God's way of pruning your life so only what will bear fruit remains. It's a refining process that removes distractions and drains so your purpose can flourish. The silence from those who are only attached is a sign that God is preparing you for a deeper, more meaningful connection, one that will sustain you in seasons of both plenty and drought. When you understand this, the pain of being ignored begins to lose its grip. You start to see it as a gift rather than a loss. You realize not everyone who came close was meant to stay close. Some people entered your story as lessons, not lifers. Their departure teaches you discernment, and this discernment brings freedom. Freedom from chasing approval. Freedom from forcing relationships that were never meant to be. Freedom from wearing yourself thin for people who never intended to stand beside you. When you embrace this truth, you stop questioning your worth when someone ignores you. Instead, you simply acknowledge that they were never truly aligned with your destiny. Remember, your journey is far too sacred to be crowded by those who only want to benefit from it. It's simply too important to waste your precious energy on people who don't have the heart to walk alongside you. When they leave, it's a clear signal, a sign to focus on those who are willing to endure the long road with you. Through all the ups and downs, the victories, and the struggles. So, when you find yourself ignored or abandoned, don't see it as a sign of failure. Instead, see it as a sign of separation, a separation between mere attachment and true alignment. Trust that this separation is necessary for your growth and for the fulfillment of the plan God has for your life. You are not losing anything that was meant for you. You are simply being released from what was never meant to stay. And within that release, you will find peace, clarity, and the strength to keep moving forward. When someone ignores you, it cuts deep. The silence can feel like a wound that refuses to heal. It's natural to feel hurt, to wonder if you are less because they turned away. But here's a truth that can change everything. Being ignored, though painful, often pushes you toward your purpose. It forces you to grow in ways you wouldn't have if everything had stayed easy and comfortable. Pain has a strange way of shaping us. It carves out the space where strength begins to form. When someone turns their back on you, when their attention fades, you're left standing alone in a quiet room with your own thoughts, your own dreams, and your own God, and in that quiet, you find a well of strength you never knew you had. Think about the times in your life when everything seemed impossible, when doors slammed shut, when opportunities slipped through your fingers, when people walked out instead of walking in. Those were the moments that shaped your character. Those were the moments that taught you resilience. And those were the moments when you learned to depend not on human approval, but on the steady hand of God guiding you forward. Sometimes, we become so obsessed with being seen, heard, and validated by others that we forget the most important validation comes from within, from the one who made us. When people ignore you, it strips away distractions and forces you to face yourself. That can be scary, but it can also be incredibly freeing. Because it means you're no longer living for their approval, you're starting to live for your purpose. You may feel alone when you're ignored, but you are never truly alone in your journey. God sees every tear, hears every unspoken prayer, and understands every ache in your heart. He uses these lonely times to draw you closer and to teach you lessons only solitude can teach. It's in these moments that you build a foundation strong enough to carry you through whatever lies ahead. Being ignored can push you to discover talents, passions, and gifts that were hidden beneath your need for external validation. When you no longer have the applause of others to rely on, you start to listen to the quiet voice inside, the voice that whispers of your destiny, your calling, your unique purpose in this world. And that voice is louder and truer than any crowd's cheer. The journey toward your purpose is not easy. It requires persistence, faith, and sometimes walking through seasons of silence. But those seasons are not empty, they are full of growth. They stretch you, mold you, and prepare you to step into what God has planned for you. The pain of being ignored is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of a greater chapter. Remember, some of the most powerful stories of success and breakthrough began in silence and rejection. Those who ignored the noise of the world, who refused to be defined by the absence of others, are the ones who changed history. They used their pain as fuel, their silence as a classroom, and their setbacks as stepping stones. So, if you're feeling ignored today, don't let that silence steal your hope. Let it push you forward. Let it become a quiet flame burning within you and your life. See God's hand working in this, because He wants to use you. Keep going, keep believing, keep growing, because sometimes the greatest blessings come wrapped in the pain of being ignored. When someone ignores you, the first impulse is to chase after them, to call, to text, to seek answers, to demand attention, but that chasing only pulls you away from the peace and purpose God wants for you. True strength comes not from the noise of pursuit, but from the quiet power of growing in silence. When you stop needing validation from others, when you stop begging for someone's presence, you begin to walk in freedom, a freedom that changes everything. There is a profound lesson in learning to be silent in the face of rejection. It's not about giving up, surrendering, or defeat. It's about rising above the chaos of emotions and stepping into a place of calm and confidence. When you stop reacting to being ignored, you reclaim your power. You stop allowing other people's neglect to control your feelings or your future. Growing in silence means trusting God's timing and His plan, even when the world around you feels cold or distant. It means embracing solitude not as loneliness, but as a sacred space for growth. When others go quiet, you can fill that space with prayer, reflection, and renewal. You begin to hear God's voice more clearly because you're no longer distracted by the noise of human drama. There is strength in stillness. As the Bible reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness is not weakness, rather, it is the strength that comes from resting fully in His sovereignty. When you learn to be silent in the midst of your pain, you open the door wide to divine wisdom. In that quiet space, you begin to see your situation from a higher perspective, one beyond immediate hurt or confusion. You learn the invaluable lessons of patience, perseverance, and peace. Sometimes, silence is truly the best response to being ignored. It protects your heart from unnecessary pain and preserves your dignity. It grants you the much-needed opportunity to heal, free from the pressure of seeking explanations or apologies from others. In that silence, you find your true voice, the voice that doesn't rely on anyone else to speak for you but is deeply rooted in the confidence of who you are in God. This journey of embracing silence is not an easy one. It demands discipline and faith. It requires you to resist the strong urge to fill every empty moment with noise, distractions, or frantic attempts to seek validation. But when you do embrace silence, something beautiful happens. You begin to grow stronger emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. You develop a resilience, a deep inner strength that cannot be shaken or diminished by anyone's neglect, rejection, or absence. As you grow in this silence, you naturally attract people who respect your peace and honor your worth. You no longer settle for those who ignore you or take you for granted. Instead, you surround yourself with those who genuinely value your presence and actively encourage your growth. Your silence becomes a filter, separating distractions from the genuine connections that nourish your soul. Remember, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness waiting to be revealed. It is the rich soil where your faith takes root and blossoms beautifully. It is the sacred space where God lovingly prepares you for greater things ahead. When you learn to be silent in the face of being ignored, you are never truly alone. You stand firmly, upheld by the strength of the one who never ignores you. So, do not waste your energy chasing after those who walk away. Do not cry out for those who choose silence. Instead, embrace that silence as a sacred sign, a signal to grow, to wait, and to trust. Within that silence, you will discover a peace that surpasses all understanding. And that peace? It will carry you forward, steadfast and unshaken, through whatever lies ahead. Hold on tightly to that peace. It is your anchor, your refuge, and your source of unbreakable strength.